Do you want to learn how to scale and grow a profitable concrete business going from 6 to 7 figures in the next year? If that is you, just hang tight because I've got a special guest here for you in your Concrete Success podcast. Stay tuned. Welcome to Your Concrete Success Podcast, a show created to inspire decorative concrete contractors to build a thriving decorative concrete business. I'm your host, Danny Barrera, the founder of Concrete Marketing Group, a digital agency specialized for concrete contractors, and also the author of the Digital Concrete Contractor Marketing Plan, how to turn your online marketing efforts into a lead generation machine. On each episode, I'll be sharing proven tips, strategies, and processes from leading experts in the industry on how they found success in their concrete business. That's right, my friends. Today, we have a special guest that actually has found incredible success in the concrete industry. So if you're a residential flat work or decorative concrete contractor, you're doing stamped concrete, you're replacing driveways, patios, pool decks, this is the episode you want to come back and watch time and time again because Taniela Fiefia is here. I mean, he's breaking records on social media right now. And what he's doing is he's adding value. And that's what this podcast is about. Taniela, do you want to give us a quick rundown, man, here? First and foremost, thank you for coming over to the podcast. But you want to give us just a brief background into how you found yourself in the concrete industry here so that we know our listeners can know?
Yeah, no, that's an awesome introduction.
Yeah.
But no, the way I kind of entered into the concrete field, I was started out as a laborer 4 years ago, worked as a laborer for a year, then I was a finisher for another year, and then it just got to that point where I was tired for working for someone, and then started my business. So yeah, I was in the field for about 2 years. Got my hands dirty a bit.
Okay. So 2 years into concrete. So that was about how many years ago? 4 or 5 years ago?
Yeah, yeah. And then I started my business. It's about to be 2 years. We're almost at 2 years.
So I'm going to tell you, you probably are making some people uncomfortable. They probably have gone through generations of building and working in the construction and the concrete industry. And here comes Taniela out of nowhere. And it's not only like you're crushing it on social media, helping other contractors now accomplish what you've been able to do, but also you were sharing before you grew your concrete company from 0 to 1 million in the first year. Is that an exaggeration or is that accurate?
No, that's accurate.
Wow.
That was the goal for the business because I always knew it would just be cool to say that. And so
Yeah.
yeah, that
Yeah,
was that
of
was
course
like
it is. Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting, man. So, first and foremost, congratulations, kudos to you breaking 7 figures in a business. I don't know what their stats are, but I believe less than 3% of businesses ever get to say that. So, congratulations. And not only that, but now you're helping other contractors, landscaping, outdoor living concrete contractors be able to accomplish the same that you've done here. And we were talking a little bit before we started here how you built the success for your business with 3 or 4 specific components, which now you've wrapped up into the contractor master class. Is that right?
yeah, yeah, because there's some things I learned along the way to grow the business this quickly, and I made tons of mistakes, and so that's what a lot of the content I've been posting on social media is just these are
Yeah.
things that work for me, but don't make the same mistakes because as you know, and mistakes in construction, they're not cheap.
Oh, it's going to cost you probably more than what you're getting paid sometimes to do. So let's go back a little bit. Let's rewind. Take me to when you first started the business. You mentioned that the goal of the business was to make $1 million. Now, did you have a plan in place? Did you have a business plan in place? Like, how did you go about going from working for someone else to all of a sudden finding yourself and building a fast growing business and crushing it every year? What how did that come about?
Yeah, so this is my eighth business I've started. So I've
Wow.
started quite a few businesses ever since I graduated high school. None of them ever reached success. They all went nowhere. And so I always knew I wanted to start my own business. But it got to a point when I was working with the guy before, I was always trying to tell them, "Oh, you should run the business this way, this way," trying to implement my ideas. And it got to a point where he said, "No." It's like, "Well, if you have so many ideas on how to run a business, why don't you run your own?" And
Wow.
like, yeah, you're right. And then it kind of got started trying to do side hustles and stuff like that, um, side jobs. But then it got to a point where he actually didn't get paid. There was 2 weeks I worked, and the paycheck he paid me bounced. So I didn't get paid for 2 weeks, and that was that last straw where I just dropped everything. I was like, you know what? I'm starting my own business. I didn't have a lot of money to start. I only had $300 to start,
Wow.
and a shitty credit score. Credit
Mhm.
scores in the 500s. So I was like, all right, I got to figure out how. I don't have money. I don't have a network. I don't have credit, and so I had to come up with a different game plan. And I thought it'd be cool to build a business with nothing, because I think it's better if you start a business with no resources. Because then if you're relying on money to start a business, you're always going to rely on money to bail you out. You're always going to rely on outside people. And so I wanted it to be as difficult as possible for me to start a business. So then that
Yeah.
way, if I can crawl out of that, because we started during COVID when there was a concrete shortage, so many different things stacked up against us, that if I can get out of that when everything's against me, once the economy's good, everything's smooth sailing, then I'll be unstoppable, because that's how business is going to go. You're going to have ups and downs, and so I want to be able to crawl out of it when it's at its worst lows. So
Wow.
we kind of just started it from there and just been pushing marketing heavily.
Heavily. And that's a very good point here. And here's the deal is I love what you mentioned here. Understanding that a lot of times we look at circumstances, situations, setbacks as negatives, and it's a mindset. That's a mindset game, and you learn that the players that want to win when their back is against the wall. I know I'll talk for myself. Before Concrete Marketing Crew. Not too long before that, I had gone through a very tough divorce. I ended up sleeping in my car, finding parking lots in Walmart, showering at the gyms, local gyms here during the day, taking my kids with two kids on the weekends to my friend's home so they could sleep somewhere, right when I had them. Uh, Sometimes rubbing a couple of pennies going to the gas, not knowing whether the card was going to go through, and debating whether to put $2 or $3 on the gas tank because I needed a couple more to take my kids to the McDonald's dollar menu. So I know what it's like. And I would say Concrete Marketing Crew would not be what it is today if that was the case. If it was well funded and we started out from the top. If and on top of that, stack up. Sometimes the minority aspect may come into play. So all those things like really inspired me, motivated me, and thank God, it's come to fruition. So hearing that from you, it's inspiring. There's no excuses to really see your situation. So now, drive me a little bit more towards your journey. You've explained how you went from working for someone else, right? You went through your setback. What was your plan like? How do you know you could grow and maintain growth at the level that you did? Because you need infrastructure, right? You need systems, processes. You need to know your numbers. You need to know your people, resources, installation. Where did that come from specifically? How was your plan mapped out?
It was a lot of trial and error, because it scaled very quickly, and that was the biggest mistake I had to learn. Was I grew faster than my skill set was able
Wow.
to. So a great thing I was at was sales and marketing. So I was constantly pushing Facebook ads, sales and stuff. So I would book out the jobs, and we ended up booking out months in advance. But I had 2 employees, and so the mistake I made is I ended up hiring 6 guys in 1 week. So I went from one employee to 8 employees in my second month in business, third month in business, which was just way too much for me, because I thought that if I just hire guys, everything will fall into place, which is not the case. because it ended up being that now jobs were getting messed up. I didn't have any training protocols or anything like that. And that's where I realized, like, okay, it's not just sales and marketing. Like, you have to also be able to operate at an efficient rate as well. And so that's what one of the things I realized is, keep it at a crew, 3-man crew, until that crew can hit 35% gross profit. And then, like, okay, then I can just copy and paste that crew set and build another one, go on from there.
Oh, that's very interesting. So three-man crew, that's what you recommend, and then your goal is to hit 35% profit. Is that right?
Yeah, gross
That's what
profit
you're aiming
without
for.
me.
Gross profit without you. Yeah, that's interesting. So tell me a little bit about you managed to figure out this component. Which, by the way, when you get help and when you seek out the individuals that have figured this out, it doesn't need to be hard. There is a way that there is that grind. We all know that there's going to be a grind regardless. Anything successful, worthwhile is going to be a grind, but it doesn't need to take as long as you think it should because everyone else is taking that long. It really, business comes down to the very fundamentals. So one of them, you mentioned marketing. Tell me about the marketing. Was that already in your background from the prior businesses, the social media, the Google and all that stuff?
No, I ended up paying a lot of people. So my first mentor that I paid for, that helped me a lot. Who I'm forever grateful for. His name's Tigran Gertz. He I paid for his mentorship, and he taught me a lot about marketing, everything like that. And my business scaled that month I joined. It was insane.
Wow.
We were doing 20,000 a month, and then I joined his mentorship, and I just soaked up all the knowledge he was teaching. And then that next month we did 90,000. So like we jumped from 20 to 90,000 a month in, and then it's just been taking off ever since. But he taught me how to do marketing, um, how to kind of open up my mind into that. And so after paying for him and seeing that jump just like that, I started seeking out different mentors in marketing, and I would pay them whatever they charged to teach me, which is our biggest expense. I'd say our biggest expense is mentors. We spend a lot of money on
Mm-hmm. Yes.
coaching, and I'm proud of it. But
Yes.
yeah, that's how I learned marketing. I would actually try to run them myself, watching YouTube videos, stuff like that, and it wasn't really working that best. So then when I paid mentors, they can instantly see, this is where you're messing up.
Immediately, it's a shortcut. Like, imagine someone just telling you, hey, look, this is where you are right now. Like, all you need to do is fix this or tweak this or add this component to the hiring process or to the marketing process, and then everything just clicks and you're off to the races. And that's an interesting point because, in the way I seen this industry, concrete industry, part of our mission is to elevate the concrete industry because, quite frankly, in technology, in thinking, and just understanding as a whole, the industry is behind in comparison to other trades. Would you agree on that fact? It tends to be behind a few years in just the mindset of how things were done. It doesn't need to be that hard. And talk to me about profits. I mean, you're at what was your revenue last year? What do you clock in on 2022?
We did 1.5 million last year.
1.5. And what was your aim for profits?
So we were aiming at that 35%, and
Okay.
we came up shy. We were probably around 28.
Okay.
So we need some rewiring to do in our business.
Of course. Yeah. And that's, I mean, that's still good. There are guys that haven't even calculated their profitability, and you don't get that you're still working a job, right? Like, you hire yourself you build a business to get yourself into a job, and on top of that, you're responsible for employees, for this headache, for that headache. Tell me how you went about working yourself out of the weeds, because you cannot scale a business when you're always the bottleneck and you're in the weeds. How do you go about really working yourself out of the weeds?
So I just hired people right as soon as I hired those 6 guys, and then I had 8 employees. So now I was forced to go close deals. Like, hey, I can't be on the job site. Like,
Mm,
to keep you guys busy, I have to be at the job site all day. And so that forced me to grow. And that's been awesome because although there were a lot of fires I've had to put out, a lot of issues, a lot of money I lost, that forced me to get out of the field and start thinking more of like I can't be the running back. Like I can't be the quarterback. It's like I got to be the coach. I can't be in the field with you guys. I got to put the systems and
Mm.
processes in place. Does that make sense? It's like that's
Oh,
it forced me to kind of think of business that kind of way.
yeah. And when you're growing fast, looking back, if you were to make one hire and it would be your first hire, who would your first hire be in your concrete company?
By far my assistant. And that's what
Your
I think
assistant.
is yes, exactly, cuz it wouldn't be a foreman. A lot of people think the first hire should be a foreman. I truly believe it should be an assistant or secretary because they can do all the minor tasks that just eat up your day, the customer service, sending out the quotes, the pre-qualifying, bookkeeping. They can do all that stuff that has to be done for the business, but it's as the business owner, we call it money making activities, MMAs,
Right.
should always
Yes.
be doing sales and marketing because that's what
Yes.
pushes the company forward. If I'm out
Mm-hmm.
there answering phone calls, pre-qualifying customers, sales are not being made. Like yes, that's a step towards it, but I need to just constantly book my calendar where I'm doing five, six, seven, eight estimates a day, generating income.
Beautiful. And that's the game that you want to play, right? And when you find yourself in that groove and you're generating the revenues, now you can afford to hire that salesperson that's going to be there full time, the estimator, project manager, whatever title you want to give that person. It's the one that's going to go out there and make the sales for you. Um, and then you can liberate yourself and then step into that next role to elevate into another seven figures added, which is awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So, what do you think is keeping most concrete contractors from making decisions to really walk out from being in the weeds, staying at the same revenue levels? I mean, when I look at the pyramid, which is pretty much a pyramid, the grand majority of contractors are in the struggling mode. They never get past the 300 and plus K, and it doesn't take a lot of jobs to get past half a million in concrete. Sorry, guys, it doesn't take a lot. It
Hmm.
takes, working smart, not hard, to be able to do that. You want to talk a little bit about that and from your insights and your experience?
Yeah, it's just breaking a belief because everyone has these beliefs that, oh, that's not possible. Oh, you need this. Oh, it should take 20 years. Oh, when
Mm,
once we have it in with XYZ contractors, we'll hit that. And it's not true. It's as soon as you make the decision you want to grow bigger, you start asking different questions. And so, because the questions I was asking when I was growing my business, how can I hit 1 million? Well, if
mm,
I'm going to hit 1 million, I have to be consistently doing five, six, seven, eight estimates a day because everything, it's all a numbers game.
yeah.
And I started realizing, like, okay, a construction company, you should be able to do $250,000 of revenue per employee. On the low end, 200,000. So it's like, okay, cool. Just doing the math from there, I need anywhere from 8, 10 employees. Um, and just doing numbers, how much does it cost me to get a lead? And I realized, oh, 4% of marketing. So if I want to, is
Mm-hmm.
what should be spending to get leads. So if I want to hit $100,000 a month, I can expect to spend anywhere from 2, 3, 4,000 a month on ads. And when you kind of just break down the numbers, it makes sense. Because a big thing is a lot of guys don't want to spend money.
Right. Which is another topic. It's another mindset. It's another mindset. Well, when I get there, when this and
Yeah,
that, and
it's like
then
the gym.
recession hits.
It's
Yeah.
like people say, yeah, once I start losing weight, I'm gonna go to the gym. Once I start losing weight, I'm gonna start eating healthy. Like you have it reversed. You start eating healthy and you start going to the gym, then you'll reap the rewards. And you can
Right.
apply it for so many different things. I'll start spending money on investing once I start like I'll start spending money on mentors once I start making money. It's like, well, you won't start making money until you start spending money on mentors. And like it can just go on for so many different things.
Beautiful. We got a question here from someone. If you can chime in, how's the best way to get customers? You're starting out brand new, get them to commit to doing the jobs. That's a great question. What tips do you have here for Jack? Jack, thank you for tuning in.
Yeah, awesome question, Jack. So we call it the rule of 100. When we didn't have any money for advertising, anything like that, what we would do is we'd reach out in Facebook groups, or you can look up on Google contractors. So we'd reach out to 100 a day for 90 days, and you reach out 100 a day. It does sound like a lot, but if you have no money and you have no work, you have all the time in the world. And so we would reach
Right.
out to landscape designers, landscape architects, pool builders, so on and so forth, realtors. Reach out and we'd send them a message. Hey, we're a local concrete contractor. And it's typically a 2 to 3% take rate on that. So if you reach out to 100 people a day, you'll get 2 to 3 that are leads. So you went from having no leads, now you're getting 2 to 3 leads a day. So that'd be the
And
best
that's
way
it.
I'd recommend.
Yeah, if you're starting from scratch, your network is really very valuable. And to add to that, and you tell me if it's true or if it's not true. It doesn't take much for you to go out and just get some professional gear so that you look more presentable. It only adds up to the presentation when you're communicating with people and networking and sending out this communication. Which in my opinion, the professionalism really does speak and add to the value that you're bringing to the table. Sometimes that's the difference between someone taking you serious or not when you start thinking about the business from like, okay, I want to grow this into more than just a one crew or two crew. Let me professionalize this. It's having your guys with the professional T-shirts, right? Just getting something printed out. Um, Another question I got here, which is social media. Talk to us about social media, how you manage to leverage social media more on the paid advertising. I know you teach on the Contractor Masterclass, which people can find more information by connecting with you on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram, right? They can look up
Yep.
Taniela Fiefia, um, which leads into more. So in this question here, what's a good budget for advertising when starting out? How do you manage to crack the code on the Google ads, Facebook ads, or social media? And then how much would you recommend starting out with?
I'd say starting out 4%. So whatever amount of revenue you want to generate that month. So starting out, say you want to do 20,000, then just factor in 4%, and that's how much you should plan on spending. But the way we were able to do it is we call this system. I learned it from a mentor of mine called client finance acquisition. Is where we would end up, our customers would pay for our marketing.
Yes.
So what I would do is I'd open up a credit card, get a $500 limit on it, and I would spend that on marketing. That $500, say it gets 10 leads, close one of those jobs. What I would do is, because this is a big mistake a lot of contractors do, and why they, a lot of contractors, they'll get a lot of work, then they have no work. Then they get a lot of work, then they have no work. Because the issue is when they get a job, they'll try and start that job right away. The best thing to do is as soon as you get a job, tell them you're a month booked out. But I'd still get a deposit, because this is how I would grow mine is I would still get a deposit from that job. And so if I started out, had no money, no work, now I have one job and I also have, say, $1,000. So I got $1,000 deposit. Next thing I would do is like I would just push all that money back into marketing to go get more and more work. So it starts piling up. So once it hits that month mark, now I have 10 jobs in a row and I have $10,000 in my bank account and I haven't even started a job yet. So then that way I can use that money. So once I start that first job, I have work. I'm not going to slow down, and I can use that 10,000 to, hey, maybe I need to start buying a compactor, skill saws, stuff like that. But it doesn't have to be 1,000. Say you get a average of a $3,000 deposit, which is typically what we're at now. So it's like if you get 10 jobs, now you have a $30,000 in your bank account. A month ago you had no money. So it's using other
Right.
people's money. So it's just playing the game different.
And that's another mindset situation, and those are the things that you go more in depth into in your master class, which we're going to bring you back. I know we're going to have a special presentation or workshops here at Concrete Marketing Crew. And for anyone tuning in, and if you're finding this valuable, make sure you share this on social media, on Facebook, wherever you are connected. Make sure you connect with Taniela Fiefia. Spell out the last name is Fi.
FIE.
FIA?
Yeah, FIE FIA.
Beautiful, beautiful. Great information. All right, let's talk about the other two aspects of the business. We talked about the acquisition, the getting clients, which, believe it or not, guys, it's not hard. It's that when you know what to do, the marketing aspect, you have that dialed in. Now you need to have a sales process in place, which is what you specialize in sharing with your group. You have another Facebook group there where you share a lot of information. But also, I noticed what caught the attention for me was the estimating software. You know, that saves time, money, and energy. You want to tell us a little bit about that? Has that helped you out in your business?
Yeah, so our thing is speed is king, because if you want to beat your competition, you figure out what the competition is doing and you do it in half the time. Because people will pay for convenience. That's why people pay for Amazon Prime. They'll spend the extra $20 to get it tomorrow. And so that's why they'll expedite things. And so what we'll do is we give quotes on the spot, pricing breakdowns,
Wow.
whether the job's 10,000 or $100,000. Um, we try to give, we're at like 50% of our jobs we were able to quote on the spot using, we use multiple apps, Invoice to Go. There's so many out there. That way, because if you can give a quote on the spot, most of your competition, they're taking a day, a week just to get it back. And so this way, we're able to just stack so many estimates on top of each other. We can collect a payment, bank transfer, credit card, signature, contract, all from our cell phone. So it's very quick, very efficient, and then you can just move on to the next job.
Beautiful. Solving that problem. Done deal. You're closing more deals by being efficient, fast. How many times have you spent that time, just going back and cranking out numbers in the good old, with all the numbers that you wrote down, right? Going back to your pickup truck, you lost the paper. Now you got, I mean, so many things can happen, right?
Right.
If you relate, type in relate into the chat. I know it's a big deal, but the next aspect is you've cracked the code. I mean, you can't do it without people. That's
Hmm.
the bottom line. You're growing and scaling. You're getting to seven figures. You need people. And I would say, if I'm playing the devil's advocate, Taniela, no one wants to work these days. No one wants to come out and work for me. I'm having a hard time. I don't want to grow because I can't find good people. Tell me how you've cracked that code.
Yeah, I think that's a terrible belief a lot of contractors have. They say, I can't, no one wants to work these days. And
Mm,
the truth is, no one wants to work for you,
wow.
because there's two things that employees want. They want great pay and they want great culture. But you have to have both, because if you only have one, they won't be interested. And so what we've always been able to do is what I ended up doing is I called 20 contractors in my area, asked all of them, hey, what do you pay for this position, this position, this position? And half didn't give me the time of day. The other half, they're like, sure, we paid X amount. So I figured out what was the average rate. I'm offering guys at the start, I would offer them one, two, three, even $4 more. Because when you're starting out, the only way you can get guys is offering them more money.
Yeah.
And so I would just offer them more money. And I would also offer this, how we found a ton of guys as well, is we would, everywhere we see guys at Home Depot, taco stands, doesn't matter. Anyone wearing a construction shirt. Hey, we're hiring concrete finishers. We pay $20 to $35 an hour. If they stay for 1 month, I'll give you $300 cash. And so people would
Yeah.
just referrals like crazy. And then
Wow.
we would land one, because they would, everyone has in construction has someone, a friend, a cousin. So they would bring that person in. Then they would go back and tell the friend, hey, come join this company. It's awesome working with them. And then it's just been kind of word of mouth from there.
Oh man, that's amazing. That's a great tip. That's a great strategy there to get people to be referable. We got another two questions here from Jack. Jack, thank you for tuning in, man. Really appreciate the feedback. Um, yeah, I mean, contracts. What's a good place to draw up a contract that protects me as the business?
I have a free I give my contract out for free. You can download it. It's very detailed. It'll protect you from
Where
pretty
can
much
they
everything.
find it? Where can they connect with you for that?
On my TikTok, there's a link on my TikTok or my Stan store that can be
Perfect.
downloaded in.
I'll make sure to put that into the comments here so that you guys can link up with Taniela here. And then let me see here. I appreciate both of you for doing this, answering your questions. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So that's what we're here for. So last but not least, let's talk about, we've talked about the marketing, the sales. You figured that game out. Now you're helping others being able to do that. The sales process, the repeatable sales process, so that you can work yourself out of it. You've chimed into how to build a team. Let's talk about profitability. What are some of the mistakes you've made that really ate some of your profit? Some of the hard lessons growing to seven figures. What have you learned in the concrete industry?
Yeah, so the biggest thing I learned was because we made tons of mistakes and almost went bankrupt multiple times, always crawling ourselves out, lawsuits. And so like I realized how you do have to track your numbers. And the way I've realized how to track it is, yep, 3-man crews. That's the most efficient for doing concrete flat work because there's no idle time. And then as well as for the sales part of it, because to be more profitable, like we like using day rate finishers as opposed to in-house crews. A lot of people think that paying guys an hourly wage, you save more money. If you do the actual overhead, you aren't, because when you're waiting for concrete, say you have 5 guys waiting on a pour, concrete's an hour late. Not only have you paid all of their labor, you've also paid all your overhead. And so you've lost a lot more money when you can just pay a day rate finisher $300. And if concrete's late or if it takes forever to dry, they still get their $300. So that's what we've realized as well. And so the way we've modeled it is our in-house crews, they just go demo, form, and then they go on to the next house to demo and form. And we just have our finishing crews just come behind, finish, on to the next one, finish. That's been the most effective for us.
That's exciting, man. I mean, that's really good tips that you've shared here, and I want to thank you for your time here. We're about 30 minutes in, but anyone listening in, if you're in Spotify, Apple, you're in Amazon, make sure that you connect with us and give us your feedback, your rating, however you found this episode. You can hit that 5-star review if you found it helpful, and then also share it with whoever you think would find this valuable. Connect with us, and if you want to watch the video and experience this in a video format, go to our YouTube channel at Concrete Marketing Crew. That is a YouTube channel where you can watch this episode specifically. Taniela, anything that you want to share with us here, with our listeners and viewers? How can they connect with you? Where can they find you? Please just give us the rundown there.
Yeah, I have a free mentorship or a free contractor masterclass for all contractors on Facebook. It's called Contractor Masterclass. And I give tons of free advice on my TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, just how to run a business. And there's so much work out there, guys. There's no shortage of money, just a shortage of people going after it.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We'll see you on the next episode. Hey there, Concrete Contractor. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure that you go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Give us your feedback. Let us know how we did. And also, if you're interested in taking your flat work and decorative concrete business to the next level online, make sure that you visit concretemarketingcrew.com today and learn more about our services. And go ahead and download our free internet marketing checklist for decorative concrete contractors. You'll learn a thing or two about what you can improve for